So everyone should see that now. Excellent. I'm now going to turn this over to my colleague, Ruthie Gottesman, who's going to explain today's format.
Thank you, Lorraine. So as Lorraine mentioned, we're going to be covering a few aspects of 3 topics, some basic features embedded in smartphones, apps that are for speech to text and for captioning, and finally, how hearing aids and Bluetooth can help you get more out of your device. Before each topic, we're going to ask you a quick polling question. And after covering each topic, we will take a few questions from the chat before moving on to the next topic. Unfortunately, we will not answer every question today, but if your question is not answered in today's session, you will see the answer from our panelists when we send you a Q&A document after the program today. And that will come in about a week. You can also reach out about getting involved in our tech coaching program for more one-on-one direct help. I'm going to put the contact information in the chat for our tech coaching program, and you can refer to this. I'll also be sending a follow-up email with this information as well. I'm now going to pass it over to my colleague Lily, and she's going to tell us about how to use the chat function to ask your questions and use the closed captioning function on Zoom.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Lily Sakobin. I'm the program assistant in Connect Through Tech and with Living Well Digitally. So we invite you to use the chat function to share any questions, thoughts, or comments during the program. To send a question, click on the word bubble icon and labeled with the word chat below it. It should be at the bottom or top of your screen, depending on your device. Click on chat, type in your message, and press enter or the return key to send the message to the group. Please try to keep questions to be more broad rather than personal to your personal accounts. And we'll review the questions and pose as many as possible to the panelists at the end of each topic. Please be patient and excuse us if there's not enough time to get to all the questions. Like Ruthie mentioned, we'll be sending out a Q&A document. We've also enabled live captions on this Zoom meeting. So this might help you follow along the meeting better if you have a hard time hearing the audio. I'm going to share a few slides on how to enable the live captions. And I'm not seeing it, sorry. Here we go. So now you probably see all my tabs, but this is how you are going to enable live captioning. So at the very bottom of your screen, you'll see a CC or live transcript that you move your cursor over and you can click on that and you'll see an option to show subtitles. And if you click on show subtitle, you will enable the captions and you'll start seeing them as we continue to speak. If you want to play around with the size of the font, you can click on show subtitle settings and you can go to the top where there's this slide and you can slide it from small all the way to large and gauge how large you'd like the font. So you can make it all the way up or smaller. And if you'd like to turn off the captions, you can just go back to the CC live caption transcript and click hide subtitle, and that will take away the subtitles. All right, thank you for bearing with me and sharing that with you. And now Lorraine will introduce our lovely panelists.
Thank you, Lily. I'm very happy to introduce our technology professionals for today. Both are joining us from the Center for Hearing and Communication, also known as CHC. CHC is a nonprofit hearing rehabilitation agency based in New York City, in Lower Manhattan, and also in Fort Lauderdale. The organization provides high-quality, comprehensive services to empower people of all ages affected by hearing loss, deafness, ringing in the ears, and auditory processing disorder. Their contact information will be presented at the end of this program and will be included in any follow-up materials that we send you either tomorrow or next week. Dr. Shelby Platia is an accomplished audiologist at CHC. She provides hearing healthcare for adults, including hearing health education to several senior centers right here in New York. She is fluent in the latest technology and skilled at determining just the right solution to meet unique health and hearing needs. Carolyn Stern is the Director of Outreach at CHC, where she leads educational and hearing diagnostic programs for New York City's older adult communities and health and social service providers. Given Carolyn's personal experience with a progressive hearing loss since her own childhood and her recent successful adoption of 2 cochlear implants, she's very passionate about helping others who are touched by hearing challenges. We are going to turn this over now to Ruthie Gottesman, who is going to share our first polling question and introduce the next topic.
Great. So you should see a poll coming up on your screen. It's asking, how often do you use your smartphone to ensure you don't miss a sound you need to hear in your environment, like a doorbell ringing, water running, or a cooking timer? And your options are, I do this often, I do this occasionally, or I never do this. I'll give everyone a moment to answer. Great, it seems like a majority of people have answered. So I'm going to share the results now. And a vast majority of people have never done this before, which is great that you're all here. So here's a common situation. Shauna is waiting for her daughter to arrive to take her out for lunch. She goes into the back bedroom to get a sweater and misses the sound of her daughter ringing the bell. I'm going to turn this over to our first panelist, Carolyn Stern.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. I hope that today's session is informative to you and that CHC can be a partner for you with your hearing journey and any concerns or issues you may have. So before I jump in, I just want to make sure that you understand that today everything that we explain, we're not expecting you to master in the first session. Really today is to introduce these phenomenal features, and then you can go back to the material that will be provided by Jerome, the recording, as well as maybe potentially working with Jerome volunteers and team to help you learn how to use these features, okay? So I hope that you can follow along. It may be a little hard to set it all up like step by step, and instead we recommend that you just listen, take it in, and then maybe try it after this session, okay? So the scenario for this person, Shauna, who missed the doorbell, I'm excited to share a way that Shauna and others who miss doorbells often will never have to miss the doorbell again, using a special feature on iPhones or Android phones. So this feature is called, it's like a sound alert feature that uses your smart device's microphone to listen to sounds in your environment. And you, the user, can select which sounds you would like your smartphone or tablet to listen out for, like the doorbell, water running, a cooking timer, those types of things. And once the sound is detected by the smartphone or tablet, it will alert you. And each phone works a little bit differently, but in general, it will alert you by sending a text notification on your screen. Some of the phones will vibrate depending on how you set it up, and other phones, depending on, again, how you set it up or the capability of the phone, will actually flash a light. So first, before I jump in, I wanted to just demonstrate what it could look like. I'm going to hold up now my Android phone, Can everyone see my phone? Can someone just give me a thumbs up that you can see my phone? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to knock on my desk because I had set up in advance that I want my phone to listen out for knocks. Okay. When I knock, if everything goes well, the phone will vibrate and the phone back flashlight will flash. And those are two different ways that someone who doesn't hear well can be alerted through touch and visual alert rather than only relying on the sound of the doorbell. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to knock and hope it works. Okay, my phone is vibrating and it's flashing. So ideally, if you were holding your phone, you would get that information. There are other ways to get the alert to go to a smartwatch, and that's another way to be informed. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through how this could be set up for an iPhone, and then I'm going to walk you through how it could be set up for an Android phone. We learned in advance that there are a number of you who have iPhones, and there are another group of you that use Android phones, so I'm going to walk through both. Okay. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try to answer what we can or respond in a document after the session. Okay, so bear with me a minute. Just clear everything up. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So is everyone seeing a large screen? Okay. So the general category of this feature it's called sound alerts, and iPhones call their feature sound recognition, and Android phones label this feature sound notification. So it's slightly different, and they look different, and they operate a little bit differently. Okay. For iPhones, the way the feature is set up is that it's embedded in the settings of the phone. So if you want to check while I'm speaking, go to the settings icon on your phone and then search for accessibility. I'm going to show you what that looks like in the screen, next screen. Okay. Once you go, so on here on the screen on the left, I think it's on the screen the furthest on the left, the blue arrow is pointing to the settings icon. You need to tap on that icon and it will open up the settings. Then the middle screenshot shows all the different categories in your settings. You want to tap on the one that says accessibility. When you tap on accessibility, it will bring you to a series of different categories. You're going to want to scroll down to the one that says hearing. And you can see that on the right-hand side screenshot with the blue arrow pointing to the feature sound recognition in the hearing category. Once you tap on that feature, you then will get to another screen that will require you to turn on the sound recognition feature by toggling it on the upper half of the screen. And so if it's on, it will show green. Then you have the option to select which sound you would like the phone to search for. And you click on where the blue arrow says sounds, you click on that, and it brings you to the next screenshot on the next slide, on the other side of the slide. And here you'll see a full menu of different sounds that the phone can listen out for. Okay, so you can select which ones you want and you turn them on and off. So that's essentially how you set up iPhones. And what I'm going to do now is stop sharing for a minute. Let me just escape 1 second. I want to show you a screen recording of what it would look like if I went through all the steps. Okay, so just give me a minute to open this up. Okay. bear with me a second. Okay. Open this up. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see the screen. Okay, so let me just go back to the beginning of this recording right here. And this is a screen recording of me taking all the steps that I just described in one recording. So here we go. I'm going to start the recording. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on this settings icon, and I'm going to press the recording to start. And once I tap on that, it brings me to all of these different features that you can select. And I tap on accessibility. And then I scroll down to the hearing category, and I tap on sound recognition, and I toggle it on. I tap the sounds feature, and then I can select on and off any of the sounds that I like to turn on. And it takes you through the steps to do that. So this is just a few examples. I'm going to turn on smoke detector now. And then I'm going to scroll down and turn on another one. Turn on door knock. And each one allows you also to set up the type of vibration or sound that you would like to have to notify you. Okay. And then when you're done, you tap on back and then back again, and then you exit the feature. Okay. So now I'm going to explain how it works for Android phones. And I just wanted to mention that for both phones, it's really important to just be mindful. I mean, these smartphones are incredible, but it's really, you just need to be mindful. Like if you really cannot hear the fire alarm at night, you probably should invest in some other devices that will for sure wake you up. So both companies really caution you for relying solely on this feature to alert you for very hazardous situations like a fire or smoke detector. I personally don't rely on this for that. I rely on this more for my everyday things like a knock or cooking, things in my environment, but not necessarily something like fire or smoke detector, but it does listen out for those sounds. Okay, so for Android phones, it's a little bit different. The feature is not embedded in the settings. It's actually an app, and the app is called Sound Notifications. And a lot of Android phones have this app already loaded on the phone when you get it. If you don't have it on your Android phone, then you can go to the Google Play Store and download the app. The actual name of the app is called Google Live Transcribe and Notifications app. And this is really a great feature as well. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of what that looks like. So on my home page, I have the app called Sound Notification, and I tap on that, and it takes you to a page that shows you the history of what sounds were recognized in your environment. So here it's not showing any history, but if I start knocking or if it picks up water running, it will tell you the actual time it happened and what happened. To set up the settings to tell the phone what to listen for, you have to click on the upper right corner of this settings icon. You tap on that, and it brings you to the sound notifications section. You have to toggle that on. And then once you toggle it on, it brings you to another page that allows you to select, just like the iPhone, all the different types of sounds that you might want to hear. And when you're done, you tap on the back arrow, and then you go to the next step. This is a little bit different than iPhones. Here, you can actually click on the notification preferences. And when you do that, it gives you the option on the last screen on the slide. It gives you the option of how would you like to be notified? Do you want the phone to vibrate? Do you want the phone to flash? Do you want it to do both? Do you want it to send it to your watch? So it's very specific. and there are lots of different steps involved, and that's what it looks like. So what I'm going to do now is show you a screen recording of what that looks like, so you can see what the steps are. Let me. Okay, give me a minute to stop sharing. Let me just find this video. Hold on. Okay. Let me go back to the Zoom window. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here we go. So this is let me go back to the beginning. So whoops. Okay. So once you're in the app, you click on the settings, you tap on the sound notifications, you scroll down to all the different sounds that you want to hear. You toggle it on, which is blue, gray is off. Once you finish that, okay, I'm turning on and off like baby sounds. You can turn on or off all the different types of sounds. Then you go to the upper right corner and then you click on your preferences for how you would like to be notified. Do you want to have it vibrate? Do you want it to flash? And those are the features. Okay.
Carolyn, I think we
Go
have
ahead.
to wrap up this section now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop sharing. Okay.
Thank you, Carolyn. That was really helpful to see how you did it in both the video and going through all the steps. There was a question about kind of making it a little more broad. What if you don't have your phone on you, or if it's in another room or it's in your purse, and what would you suggest kind of for using it for accessibility?
Sure. Well, that is an issue. And so if you don't have your phone on you, probably the only way to be notified is to wear a watch. And then the watch will pick up the signal, provided that it's within a reasonable distance from your phone. Like if you're out and about and you leave your phone at home, you may not get that signal to your watch. So that is an issue. Not everybody carries their phone around. So you have to really think about, is this feature right for you? There are other solutions that we can recommend, but they're not phone-based or tablet-based.
That's great. And I think that we'll hear more a little, excuse me, a little bit more about those kinds of things later with using hearing aids for these services. So just a reminder, everyone, if you have more questions, just to type them in the chat, and I think we can move on to the next topic. Okay.
Thank you, Lily. And I just want to also remind everyone, as we said at the beginning, this program is being recorded. So while I know Carolyn was speaking at a good pace and some people were following along, making those changes as she was speaking, if you want to go back to the recording after we send it to you, you'll have the opportunity to review all of those steps again on your own telephone. So now we're going to go to our second topic, which is for captioning apps. Captioning apps help people with hearing loss by converting in real time spoken language or audio into written text displayed on the screen of a smartphone or tablet. Different captioning apps assist with phone calls, conversations, and entertainment, such as live theater. I'm going to put up our next poll for everyone in the audience to answer. Sorry, give me just 1 second to do that. Okay, so everyone should be able to see, oh, that's the last poll, captioning apps. So have you ever used a captioning app during the following situations? Select all the options that apply. Conducting a phone call. Yep, Ruthie?
The poll isn't showing.
Oh, I see the launch button.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruthie. So I will begin again. This question is asking you if you have ever used a captioning app during the following situations. I see people already beginning to answer. Please remember to check all that apply. Conducting a phone call, conversing with a healthcare provider who's wearing a mask, watching a Broadway show or something else in a theater, or if you've never used a captioning app. We'll give everyone a few moments to answer the poll. Just another 30 seconds. I see only about 2/3 of our audience have participated. I just want to give everyone that opportunity. Okay, even though we've only got about 2/3 that have answered, it doesn't seem like there are any more answers coming in. So I'm going to share the results now. So we can see that the majority of the people in our audience today have not ever used a captioning app before. So again, as Ruthie said earlier, we're glad you're here so that you'll be able to learn how to be able to do this. So Carolyn, would you like to take, oh, I'm sorry, now I need to give the next scenario.
Okay.
So here's a common hearing situation. Janet is at a medical office for her annual physical, and she's having an extremely difficult time hearing her doctor, who's wearing an N95 mask. The doctor repeats frequently and speaks louder, but it is still not helping. So Carolyn, can you please take us through this next topic?
Sure. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so in this scenario, if you're in a medical appointment, or even if you're in a one-on-one discussion with someone, or you're having difficulty following the conversation, there's a category of apps called speech to text that will transcribe the spoken language in real time on the screen of the smart device. So here you see on the screen, there's a photograph at our front desk at the Center for Hearing and Communication at our clinic. And there's a tablet, and it could be a tablet or a smartphone, and it's running one of the speech text apps. It happens to be using Google Live Transcribe. And when the receptionist speaks, even through the mask, the app is picking up the spoken language and transcribing in real time what the receptionist is saying. And all of the apps on the screen work very well. Some of them work only for Android phones, some of them work for both. Most of them are free, or they provide a couple of free minutes a month. And then there's a monthly fee, a reasonable monthly fee if you're a heavy user and you need more minutes. The way it works is that the app, similar to the prior feature, uses the microphone of your phone to listen to the spoken language. And through artificial intelligence and a lot of really incredible research that went in and development that went in to develop these types of features, it can transcribe the spoken language with not 100% accuracy, but very high accuracy. When the background is quiet, it tends to work better. When the system gets to know the voice better, it works better. And some of the features are really incredible. Some of them will even allow you to filter out curse words if you don't want that to be transcribed. And a lot of them will also save the transcript of whatever was said so that you can refer back to it after. So what I wanted to do now was just show you very quickly some of the ways that it works. So I'm going to demonstrate one app. This is not, I picked it not because it's the best of all of them. They're all very good at this point. They've had a few years to develop. I picked Ava. Let's see if it came out right in the captioning, because it works on both Android phone and iPhones. So if you have an iPhone, you would download the app from the iPhone App Store. And if you have an Android phone, you would download it from the Google Play Store. And here on the screen, you see the icon for Ava. You tap on that. It brings you to a home page that's blank because the phone call has not happened yet. The little blue microphone on the lower half of the screen, I'm talking about the middle screenshot right now, is the microphone. It's activated. And it will be listening out for the phone call. I'm sorry, it's not activated yet. When you start the phone call, you tap on it and it actually turns red, and then it's activated. You can also give the app access to your contacts. That's totally up to you. And then it just makes it easier to make your phone calls. You make your phone calls directly in the app. And then on the final screen on the right, it is showing you what happens. When the phone call actually happens, then the app starts transcribing the phone call for you. And that's just a wonderful way to make the phone accessible. What I was going to mention is that many of the apps save the transcript. So here on the lower half of the screen, the blue arrow is pointing to the transcript icon. And then you tap on that, then you will have a history of the discussion, I'm sorry, not the phone call. I totally I misspoke. We're talking about transcribing in-person conversations. And this transcript will then be saved and you can refer back to it if you want to, take notes or try to remember something that the doctor had shared with you. It's really important to ask the person permission before you pull it out and use it, because it is saving their language. And so it's just good to have a partnership with it and let the people know that you're using this feature. So that's how a speech to text app works. Okay. Then I wanted to clarify that these types of speech to text apps don't really work for phone calls. There are a whole nother type of apps that really work well for phone calls, and I was going to go over that now. Okay. Okay. So first, I wanted to share a video so you would have an idea of how the app would work. So let me just escape. Whoops. Okay, give me a minute. Okay. All right. So this video is going to show you with me making a phone call through a phone captioning app. The app that I'm going to demonstrate is InnoCaptions. And as the speaker on the other end of the phone is speaking, the app will caption the spoken language. There we go. So now I'm going to show you an app that can help people with hearing loss function better on the phone by captioning real time what's being said at the same time that you're listening to the call. The app is called InnoCaption. I'm going to demonstrate now on my iPhone. It also works on an Android phone too.
Center for Hearing and Communication. How can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to make a hearing test appointment.
Great. When were you thinking of coming in?
I'd like to come in on a Monday in July.
A Monday in July. Let me check the calendar. I'm going to put you on a brief hold now. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay, so the video, I hope, showed you a little bit about how a phone captioning app could work, where you make the phone call directly from the app, and then it will caption the voice on the other end for you to follow the call better. So I'm going to walk you through now how this works. On the left-hand side of the screen is the home page with the app downloaded. And the blue arrow is pointed to the InnoCaption icon. You tap on that and it will take you to the first screen in the experience, which essentially is a keypad. And the numbers that you would dial a phone number into. You can give the phone access to your contacts. And then when you're ready, you can tap on the button and it will dial the phone call for you. You can also just directly dial in the phone number if you don't want to give the app your contacts. Then once the phone call begins, you will then see the next experience on the right, where the captioning of the phone call will start to appear. This particular app offers artificial intelligence captioning or AI captioning and or a live human captioner who can caption your phone calls. When you're done with the call, you can tap on the red handheld device, the handheld, what do you call it? The handset of the phone. It's the yellow arrow, and you tap that and it will disconnect the phone call. So that is the caption experience. And then finally, I wanted to talk about one other scenario, which is a situation that many people with hearing loss find themselves very challenged in live theater situations. And there is an app available now that will caption live theater on your smartphone while you're in the theater, so you can follow the play or the musical and the lyrics in real time. So I'm going to show you a video now, very briefly, of what that looks like. And what I want to just mention is that this app is free. You need to download it before you go to the theater. And it's encouraged to you can't just assume that every theater is going to will have captioning available through this app. The way you find out if the show you would like to see provides captioning is you need to download the app and take a look and see what's available in the app. Currently, 22 Broadway shows are offering captioning or have offered captioning. So you just need to check, because I know some shows are closing now and others are opening. So you need to check. And there are some regional theaters that are offering the captioning. And you'll see in the video that it's a global product and it's being used in theaters all over the world. In New York City, it's heavily used. And
Carolyn, I just want to give you a time check. We're
okay.
at time.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly show the video, and then we're done with this section. Okay. Okay, so you will see in 2 seconds a person setting up her phone in the theater. She had already set it up in advance.
Here's how it works. Once you're in the theater, prepare your phone for theater mode. Set your phone to airplane mode. Turn on your Wi-Fi and connect to the Gala Pro network. We want to make sure your phone doesn't disturb anyone during the show. Choose the show you wish to see. The language and subtitles or closed captioning. In select venues, amplification and multilingual dubbing are offered as well. While waiting for the show to begin, you can read the program and get the relevant information. Then just click Start, relax, and enjoy the show. Your real-time translation will begin automatically when the show starts. Swipe up or down to adjust the brightness. Zoom in and out to increase the font size. The app is compatible with any mobile device and can cater to any theater, venue, and language in the world. Whether it's a play, the opera, or a musical, never miss a word with Gala.
Okay, so I hope that gave you a little bit of a sense of what it's like. It's a little hard to demonstrate it live, but it really does work. I have attended a Broadway show recently, and it was terrific. And if you don't want to use your smartphone for any reason in the theater, the Broadway show theaters do offer a handheld device that you can borrow, and you can inquire in advance to make sure that they'll have that available for you by making a reservation. And in the follow-up document, we can put the contact information that you need to call to make a reservation to use that handheld device. Otherwise, make sure your phone is charged well and bring a backup charger with you so that the phone will last the entire session of the theater. And that's it.
That's great. And just a quick question. I saw about, excuse me, about the app you just showed that there's a lot of different language settings, but for just a regular speech to text caption setting, do those just pick up on other languages or do you have to set something up?
Yes, the speech to text apps, almost all of the ones I listed on there provided multiple languages. So if you're speaking in Spanish, it will transcribe in Spanish. You just need to make sure that you are telling the app what language you're speaking. It doesn't automatically know that all of a sudden you're speaking Hebrew now or a different language. So yes. Some of the apps even have transcription services available, but of course you have to pay a premium, a fee for that, for the transcription, which would be fabulous if you're in that situation where you need it. But in general, yes, they transcribe many, many languages.
That's great, really helpful. Thank you. All right, I think we'll move on to the last section.
All right, thank you, everyone. So I'm going to launch our poll for our final section on hearing aids and Bluetooth. So did you know that many hearing aids can connect wirelessly to smartphones or other devices? Yes or no? So I'll give everyone a moment to respond. Okay, great. So a majority of people answered that they did know about this. Now I'm going to read our scenario. So Harold has 8-year-old hearing aids and was having difficulty hearing his family members on the phone. He decided it was time to get new hearing aids that would help him better communicate with his family. At his recent appointment, the audiologist paired Harold's new hearing aids to his phone. Now Harold can make phone calls through his new hearing aids and does not have difficulty talking to his family. I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Platia.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to see that almost 3/4 of you do know that you can connect hearing aids wirelessly to smartphone devices. In this scenario, Harold went from using a non-Bluetooth enabled hearing aid to upgrading to newer technology with Bluetooth capabilities. With the help of his audiologist, the hearing aids were paired wirelessly using Bluetooth in order to connect to his phone. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, I will not be walking you through that pairing process. It can be quite complex, and more often than not, your audiologist would be the one who goes through the settings and pairs the hearing aids to the phone. The reason for this is because depending on the type of hearing aids that you're using and the type of phone you have, the pairing process can vary. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that before I go into my presentation. The purpose of today is really to just discuss some of the capabilities and hopefully provide you with new information. Now, based on the survey responses that we received when you all registered for the event, about half of you are current hearing aid users. And of those who use hearing aids, about half are connected to smartphones or tablet devices, which is great to see. If you are a current hearing aid user who is not connected to your smartphone device or a tablet, or if you're someone who is not currently using hearing aids but may want to consider them in the future, I'm hopeful that the information we discussed today will help you have a conversation with your audiologist to determine how you can go about getting hearing aids that would be capable for your smartphone device. Again, I just want to preface by saying that the information that I will cover will be more general based and not specific to type of phone or tablet used or to a specific type of hearing aid manufacturer, because there are several out there and they may vary. So Carolyn, if you don't mind just sharing the slides.
Oh, just give me a minute.
Thank you. All right. So with advancements in hearing aid technology, most hearing aids are compatible now with smartphone devices, whether it be Apple products or Google, Samsung, Androids, things like that. Some hearing aids will have Bluetooth capabilities, which can allow for wireless connection directly to the smartphone. But based on the type of hearing aid, you may need an intermediary device in order to establish this connection. So again, this is really important to have a conversation with your audiologist to determine if a direct wireless connection can be made where all you need are the hearing aids and the smartphone, or if you need another device to sort of connect the two together. Regardless, whether you're using direct connection or an intermediary device, this connection allows you to stream things like phone calls, music, videos. If you're someone who likes to use streaming platforms like Netflix or Hulu, or to watch movies and shows, maybe on your tablet, it will allow you to hear with both ears directly into your hearing aids, as opposed to just through the speaker of the device, or having the phone up to one ear and only using one ear. Now, this is kind of comparable to if anyone has ever used headphones before. Maybe you've used Bluetooth enabled headphones where it's a headphone that goes directly in the ear and it's connected to your phone, and all of your media and phone calls are streaming to the headphones. Even if you've used headphones before that connect via a wire, it is the same idea, except it is now through your hearing aids, which can be much more convenient, because I know in the past, if individuals wanted to maybe watch a movie on their tablet and wanted to use that, have it directly into the ears, they would have to take off their hearing aids and then put on headphones. There are some benefits and limitations. Some of the benefits, I think one of the main benefits is privacy. I've seen a lot of individuals with hearing loss who really can only hear if they don't have the capability to connect to their smartphone. They will often put their phone calls on speakerphone, regardless of if they're in the comfort of their own home or if they're in a restaurant or maybe just walking down the street. Those are private conversations that you're having that other people may hear or overhear if you're not connected directly to the hearing aids. Being able to connect to a smartphone or a tablet device allows for the hearing aids to be a bit more user-friendly. I will go over some more features in terms of how to make adjustments to your hearing aids in the next slide, but it's often a lot easier to do this through the phone rather than having to play around with very tiny buttons on the hearing aids or not have those features at all. Some things to keep in mind is that technology is not 100% all the time. It doesn't always work how we want it to. The main function of the hearing aids are to be able to allow for more ease of communication, to reduce the listening effort. And I always like to remind people that connectivity to phones, tablets, different things like that, that's an extra perk. So it may not always work 100%. You may have to talk with your audiologist to sort of troubleshoot if there's any issues that occur. And another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes when you are connected to more than one device, issues can occur. So let's say you have a smartphone device and you also have a tablet device. You may need to be able to operate the Bluetooth on each device in order for smooth streaming to the hearing aids. Now, again, this is going to be more information-based. Carolyn did a great job with a lot of pictures and videos, and it's just a bit more difficult to demonstrate that through the hearing aids. It's not as easily simulated through pictures and videos and stuff like that, especially because hearing aids, there are several different manufacturers of hearing aids. So some of these features that I'm going to discuss, it will look different based on the type of manufacturer that you have. Most manufacturers have their own specific app that can be downloaded more often than not, I will help my patients download these apps, but something that is important for you to note is that you will need to know your Apple ID, username and password. Same thing with your Google Play Store account information, because oftentimes we will download the app for you right in the office, but if you can't access your account, then we will not be able to download the apps. With these specific apps, you will be able to do things like change the volume on your hearing aids. You can check the battery life. You can change the programs depending on if your hearing aids have multiple programs instilled into them. That would be something done through your audiologist. Not all hearing aids will have multiple programs from the jump. Some of the apps, some of the manufacturers actually allow you to create your own programs and make personalized adjustments while you are in a very specific setting, such as maybe being out to eat with family members or maybe going for a walk. You can make your own personalized adjustments right then and there. If you have different accessories like a TV device, you would also be able to control that accessory through the app. And one of my absolute favorite features of the connectivity to the phone or the smartphone or the tablet device is the Find My Hearing Aid feature. This has been very important for everyone, especially with those using masks, because a lot of people are concerned with losing their hearing aids. So your app, your hearing aid specific app, will have a Find My Hearing Aid feature that will work best with location services turned on always. Again, this is something that your audiologist would ensure that it is turned on always, but you would be able to locate or have a general idea of where your hearing aid is if it did fall off your ear. And lastly, something else that I would like to highlight with having these capabilities to connect your hearing aids directly to a smartphone or a tablet device is that most hearing aids that have that connection will be capable for remote programming. Remote programming simply means that you would not have to go in the office for certain adjustments or certain changes to the hearing aids. Now, I will say that, part of what goes into remote programming is you having the necessary hearing aids, the necessary smartphone device, and also your audiologist being able to perform remote programming. At our clinic, we utilize telehealth a lot. We utilize remote programming a lot, so we are equipped for it. But something you would have to check to see if your audiologist is equipped for remote programming. But this is nice because you would not have to make the trip into the clinic. Most adjustments can be made from the comfort and the safety of your own home. It shows up similar to a FaceTime call, and depending on your manufacturer, you may either have to access the app first, or when we call you, when we initiate the call, then you would be able to pick up. Again, all of this information would be given to you through your audiologist. You wouldn't be expected to know how to do this or how to set it up. But if this is something you're interested in, I would recommend that you discuss with your audiologist how to carry this out. And one last caveat of remote programming is that some services may require an in-person appointment. So, not everything can be done remotely. So just keep that in mind, that if you maybe have a broken wire or something is going on with your hearing aids, you still may have to physically be in the office or send the hearing aids in. Okay.
Thank you so much for that information. Oh, if you want to talk about your last slide, you're welcome to.
Yep, this is our contact information. We have our email and our phone number, as well as our address and our website. Please feel free to reach out. I mean, I know we're going to be answering, doing the question sheet, and you will have access to that, as well as access to this video to be able to jot down this information. But please feel free to reach out in case, any questions or concerns come up.
Great. Yeah. And so I think, as you were sort of saying before, that the best way to find out more about your connectivity with your hearing aids and your phone is to talk to your own audiologist, because each case is so different. So that's our advice. Thank you.
So Lily, does that mean there are no more questions from the chat that we'll be covering today?
I think yeah, I think the questions, we'll send them out in the sheet, and people will be able to ask their doctors questions.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. So I just want to thank our panelists for joining us and sharing all this really valuable information today, and doing it with such skill. I think you were able to really make these explanations very clear and provide a lot of visuals, which I think are helpful to people. So thank you so much for doing that. We thank, of course, all of our audience members for coming today. We hope that this was informative for you. We hope that it was enjoyable. Tomorrow, you'll be receiving an email where you will have a link to a survey. We would love to get your feedback to help us plan for future sessions, potentially improve anything that happened today. And within a week, we will be sending a second email that will contain a link to the recording that we've made of today's session, so that you'll be able to go back and view it. These will be stored on Derote's YouTube channel, so you would also be able to direct other people to that. We will also include with that video link the Q&A document that Lily was just referring to. So we will take in writing all the questions that have come into the chat today. Our panelists will answer them, and then that document will be sent out to you. So we're really glad that you were able to join us today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.